Om Vasudevasukam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat. This session on Bhagavad Geetā is a hybrid session. Hybrid in the sense, this is the weekly Gita class online, which we have been doing for 2 years. Every Wednesday morning in India, every Tuesday evening in the Western world. This is also a class for those of you attending online. You must know, this is also a class in a 5-day retreat we are holding at the beautiful, spacious Suvarnamukhi Samskriti Dhama just outside Bangalore. The 5-day retreat has the general theme Alpha and Omega of Om. In this retreat, in the last 4 days, we have been taking a look at Om or Pranava, Omkara, in various scriptures, Upanishads, some hymns. And this morning in India, we are going to take a look at references to Om in the Bhagavad Geetā. Thus, it is a combined class of some 25 people physically in front of me who have been part of this 5-day retreat, and probably 25 to 30 around the world, mainly from USA and India, attending online. Therefore, friends, we are not continuing in this particular session with the 25th verse of the 4th chapter. That's where we had stopped last Wednesday. Instead, we are going to touch upon Omkara in Bhagavad Geetā. Om is given the highest place by Sri Krishna at several places in his discourse spanning the 17 chapters, 2nd to 18th. So let's straight away plunge into the first occurrence of Pranava. As we have explained the word yesterday, Pranava is the best known name for Om. Omkara, Pranava, or Ekakshara are often the expressions for Om. The first occurrence of Om or Pranava in the Bhagavad Geetā is in the 7th chapter. As all of us know, the 7th chapter is called Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Lord Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, please listen to me carefully. I shall share with you such wisdom, and if you truly receive it, you will not only have a theoretical picture, understanding of what the wisdom of liberation is, but you will actually get glimpses, get an experiential version of it. It is in the 7th chapter, incidentally, that there is a little departure in terms of focus. The first 6 chapters are so much about what Arjuna has to do. Arjuna's sadhana, Arjuna's preparation to reach a higher state of consciousness, to look at things from broader angles of view. Well, a whole lot that Arjuna has to do. Therefore, it has been rightly said that the first 6 chapters of the Gita are Tvam Pada Pradhana. All of you know the great statement Tattvam Asi from the Upanishads. You are that. You means the spiritual seekers. Arjuna represents all the spiritual seekers. That means God. And in Advaita, creating this and so on. But in terms of the inner divinity, you too are divine. You too have that boundless freedom, that infinite love in you. So Advaita should not be misunderstood. That's another topic altogether. This non-dual philosophy has that famous statement, Tattvam Asi. You are that. You, the spiritual seeker, the Jivatma, is touched upon primarily the focus in the first 6 chapters. And it is very relevant to say here that the second bunch of 6 chapters, 7 through 12, have distinctly a greater focus on Tatpara. Tat meaning God. No wonder, therefore, in this 7th chapter itself, which is the first of the 6 in the second set of 6, Lord Krishna begins to say so much about his own Ishvaratva, his being the supreme ruler of this entire universe. It's against that backdrop that we should appreciate the reference to Omkara, which presently comes up. 7th chapter, 8th verse. Sri Krishna goes on to say in this 7th chapter that anywhere and everywhere, I am the very essence of things that make or that makes things precious, valuable. Let's take this verse itself, where the reference to Omkara is only one quarter of the verse. The whole verse goes like this: Raso hamapsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi suryayoho pranava sarva vedeshu shabdakhe paurusham drishu. Rasaha apsu. In all that we eat, when there is a little water content, our tongue is able to fully enjoy, appreciate the taste of that eatable. Liquids or solids, there has to be a little water content. Now, Sri Krishna says, I am the rasa, I am the taste, meaning I am the taste giver. Whatever you enjoy has certain essential taste component. Therefore, not only in matters that we, things that we eat or drink, even in various other situations, don't we say, oh, that scene was not to my taste. Oh, he spoke certain words which were distasteful. So, The word taste is extended to a lot of things. Good taste means something to be appreciated, enjoyed. Bad taste, foul taste means something that we detest. And Sri Krishna says, I am the good taste everywhere. Therefore, next time you are part of something enjoyable, something that leaves you with great happiness, you attended a function and came out saying, wow, very nice function, very nice event. Think of this eighth verse of Bhagavad Geetā in seventh chapter. What made the function, what made the event so enjoyable is Krishna's blessing. Then Sri Krishna says something which is even easier to understand. Even children can enjoy this, appreciate this. Shashi Surya Yoho Prabha Asmi. Last night, some of us were on the top of this building taking a look at the full moon, and the full moon was playing hide and seek, going behind the clouds, leaving us a little bit disappointed, leaving us a bitter. And then, before ever we could complain, he would come out and say, I'm here, don't worry. Some of them, Shamla and others, took so many photographs too. Moon, full moon with so much of light and sun are so glorious because of Prabha, light. I am the light in sun and moon. And then I am sound in space. This is, of course, Vedic mysticism. Vedas say space, Akasha, has sound in it. Expressed sound, which today's physics would say requires some vibrating object, and for transmission of sound also there is need for a medium. Sound doesn't go by vacuum. But Vedic mysticism says all that is a certain lower expression of sound. There is something called sound. Right at the beginning of this retreat, we talked about the biblical statement. In the beginning there was Word, and the Word was with God. And Dr. Hegde, then I also talked about how we Hindus would rather prefer the word sound rather than word. In the beginning there was sound, and the sound was with God. We would prefer that because it goes so much better with Vedas. I could perhaps, given the choice, in the beginning there was sound, and the sound was with God. In the beginning there was word, and word was with God. These prefer sound. Bill Gates would prefer word because he gave Microsoft Word to the world. He would say to us, Hindus, don't change it. Let it be word only. All that we need to change is version. Microsoft Word version number. Right away, Shabda K. Those of you who have studied Taittiriya Upanishad know that the Genesis, the way creation took place, mentions space as the first one. Akasha Sambhutaha. Then Vayu, then Agni, then Jala, then Prithvi. And the quality or the guna of Akasha has been said to be sound. And Sri Krishna mentions therefore, K means Akashe, Shabdaha Asmi, Paurusham Drishu. In all of us, a certain ability to act quickly, that is Paurusha. In human beings, those of us who do not dilly-dally, who do not delay in taking appropriate action when all information is available, why wait? Why look left or right? And the courage to do what is right. So swift action and courage, such things are called Paurusha. I am Paurusha, translated as manliness. That's because of the old language, linguistic culture. But today, we may as well translate Paurusha as effectiveness. Effectiveness. So I am effectiveness in human beings. So wherever you see some lady, some gentleman, very effective, gets things sorted out quickly, then you say, Sri Krishna said, I am such effectiveness in people. In this shloka, where Lord Krishna talks about whatever is wonderful, whatever is beautiful, to be his presence in that domain, we have means Veda mantra. There are countless Veda mantras. Gayatri is a Veda. Mrityunjaya mantra is a Veda. So Vedeshu can mean Veda mantreshu. In countless Veda mantras that are revered, the one to be most revered is Om. Right away, this is a very glowing compliment to Om that Sri Krishna gives. Pranavaha Sarva Vedeshu. We have quoted before in an earlier class how Sri Ramakrishna, 19th century, Sri Ramana Maharshi, 20th century, in their talks said all the Vedas are contained in Gayatri and Gayatri is contained in Om. How interesting. It's a bit mystical though. We wonder how in Gayatri all the Vedas are contained. How in Om Gayatri is contained. Well, spirituality, religion necessarily have some mysticism. Yeah? It is for everyone to discover the truth of it, truth of those mystical statements in their own journey. Unlike science, it cannot be sorted out through some theory and some practical experiments and shared quickly with everyone. You know, scientists took long time to discover certain laws. And you and I, coming 10 years, 20 years, or 100 years later after that discovery, learn that law in two or three classes sometimes. How long did we take to understand Newton's three laws? Some of us who were academically very good understood it in one class or two or three classes, then a couple of exercises. But Isaac Newton must have taken a very long time to observe things, figure out, and so on. But in the case of spirituality, alas, it's not that way. A very seeker typically takes her own time to discover the truth of what is said. It cannot be doled out a fast method. Pranava Sarva Vedeshu is said thus in the 7th chapter. In the very next chapter, namely 8th chapter, called Akshara Brahma Yoga, Taraka Brahma Yoga, we have Lord Krishna advising spiritual seekers, you and me, to meditate on. The special context is time of dying. Prayana Kali. The word prayana ordinarily means travel. But in scriptures, at various places, prayana means the travel from one body to another. One loka, this world, this bhuloka, to maybe Swarga. In Hinduism, The expression rest in peace is not appropriate. I don't have serious objection to it because I take the spirit. When the Hindus wish rest in peace, may his soul rest in peace. Technically it is incorrect, but I don't. I accept it wholeheartedly. If you call somebody very lovingly, oh Ravana, I love you, then say, sorry, I should have said Rama. I said, no problem. Your tonal quality when you called that man Ravana was full of love. So you called him Ravana. You could see that the spirit was of love. Therefore, we don't make a big issue of little technicalities. But having said that, technically it's not right for Hindus to say rest in peace. You know why? In Hindu theology and the science of soul, the soul doesn't rest at all. After dying, the soul goes. There are some intermediate regions, intermediate realms of experience where the soul will be spending some time. Then maybe heaven, maybe some hell. But nowhere it stays for good. Then, as per its karma, who knows? In a short while, it could come back and take birth on the earth. Some old lady passed away. After 3 or 4 months, a new child is born, and Hindus sometimes say, would this be our old lady? Has she come back as this child? Anyway, without going long on rebirth and reincarnation, the idea is the soul travels. So should we not say RIP? Do say RIP. If you want to correct your technical side of the matter, say RIP when somebody dies. But in bracket, you may say roam in peace, not rest in peace. In Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, it's rest in peace because they have a certain concept that the soul goes and stays, it goes into some sort of deep sleep till the day of judgment. Then God sends certain souls to heaven, certain souls to hell. Till then, it's a very long period, maybe thousands of years, I guess. I asked one priest, isn't it unfair to make him wait so long? This way or that way should be sorted out quickly. But the Christian priest was very smart. I think Vibaji and I were at St. Peter's Cathedral and Sistine Chapel. We were there, we asked that senior priest of the Vatican, had a chance to see. Bharati Murjani also was with us. 3 of us had gone. There, seeing Michelangelo's drawings, this, that, and he asked, the elderly priest asked us, any question? I asked him, this idea in your Christianity that the soul sleeps for a long time till the day of judgment, isn't it unfair to make a soul wait so long? Smart guy, he said, you see, because the soul is in a sort of deep sleep, the soul has no time. In deep sleep, there is no clock. Therefore, the soul doesn't suffer, whether it's for 1 day or 10,000 years. No difference. In fact, the soul is enjoying. He said that and gave a mischievous smile. That's where there is a need for understanding each other's religions. Should not hastily jump to conclusion that their system is not okay. They should not say that to us too. Our system is. Every system seems to have been worked out in great detail by the teachers and sages, saints of those particular religions. So there is in each chapter a special reference to, or the focus is on time of dying. Prayana Kale. What are we to do at the time of dying? And Sri Krishna says, see, no matter how you have lived your life, at least, if not before, at the time of dying, gather all your emotions, all your mental energy and focus it on God. In what way? That is where the 13th shloka of the chapter 8 says, Omityekaksharam Brahma Yaharan Mam Anusmaran Yaprayati Tyajan Deham Sayati Paramam Gatim. Krishna seems to ask us, are you capable of doing it at the time of dying? If you are, that will be wonderful. Doing what? At the time of dying. Maybe one day before you went and saw my several movies, went once more and had the ice cream you loved, no problem. On the day of dying, can you forget ice cream? Can you forget? Spirituality is not against ice cream, as long as things are in the right priorities. As we say, duty before pleasure. We don't say to have no pleasure. So if you are able to do duty before pleasure, then you are a spiritually advanced person. All right. Sri Krishna says at the time of dying, Om Iti. Can you repeat Om? Possible audibly. If you are weak, if you are not able to say loudly, mentally. Manasa Japa. Om. 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 The topic of death is a very vast topic and very practical topic really. Because who among us is not going to die? One day, someday, we never know. Some die early, some die late. And it makes sense to know about the art of life. In Tibetan Buddhism also, there are two art of dying. Dying is an art. So it is said, Ekaksharam. Om is a monosyllable. And it is in fact Brahma. It itself is the highest truth. Gaharan, Ucharayan. Citing it, repeating it. If someone moves on, Yaha Prayati. Prayati is the verbal form of the noun Jnana. I already said Prayana means the final journey. Yaha Prayati, Om iti Vyaharan, Sa Yati Paramam Gati. That person, lady or man, old person or child, in spirituality, there is no bias. What caste, what creed, what color of skin, what educational qualification. All that was necessary to function in the world, in your professional fields, yes. But at the time of dying, what matters is who remembered God. And a Jnana Yoga interpretation of remembering God, and with this say, because remembering God has a flavor of love of God, devotion to God. In Jnana Yoga, in the way of wisdom, we would say, whoever can bring oneself to a state of no ego. And what is ego? Nursing some hurt, some wound, regretting about something, or having a sense of revenge against some. Oh, I wish I had do something to him, like settle score with him, etc. So-called negative emotions. Not easy to let go of. So on the Jnana Yoga, on the wisdom front, to say Om at the time of dying means from your side, forgive, forget, don't leave any account unsettled. Just write off everything. And the same thing is also called be in a state of doubt and lovableness. I love all, even those who harm me. And I have no doubt I am lovable. I am loving and I am lovable. This is yet another way of expressing that state, which is in a traditional language called say O, be with O, be O, be O, and then let the body go to such stillness. Let the body go still. Let the body stop functioning. You then will not take another body. Yaprayati sayati paramam gatim. So home has been one great place. If we go further, there are 4 places in all where Sri Krishna mentions Pranava in Bhagavad Geetā. And the third one is in 10th chapter. Vibhuti Yoga. Vibhuti also is how we call the sacred ash. Satya Sai Baba was producing Vibhuti just like that. In so many homes, from pictures of Satya Sai Baba, Vibhuti. Though unbelievers say there must be something. But believers have no doubt. Not just in India, in Africa, in America, in Canada, Australia, from the picture of Satya Sai Baba, from sacred ash with certain fragrance has been reported as falling. So we don't know. About religion, about faith, it has been rightly said. For those who believe, no proof is necessary. For those who don't, no proof is enough. Such is this scenario very many times. And we too, we might be believing in something, but with respect to something else, we say, no, I don't know. So by and large, all of us human beings carry, whether we are aware of it or not, we carry some beliefs and we carry some doubt. There is a skeptic also in us, in every one of us, and there is a believer also in us. So Vibhuti is used to mean that sacred ash, the ash which Shaivas put upon their. That's also Vibhuti, Vasma. But in 10th chapter, Vibhuti means glory. V means Vishesha. Vibhuti means power, being. Wherever the Lord, who is in a general way everywhere, but wherever he is in a special way. And as all of you know, the 10th chapter is another very poetic chapter, where by content, by what he says, we notice so much of literary beauty. I am Ganga among rivers. I am Himalayas among mountains, and so on. The universe, distant stars and planets, etc. And right here around us, he picks up different categories. And the best one was there. He says, that is my manifestation. He concludes the chapter also saying, wherever you see something really very impressive, something which makes you drop your jaw. My God, this is so good. This is superb. Music or sports or literature, any field. Sri Krishna says, wherever there is certain excellence, see me over there. Yad yad vibhuti matsar. There is a shloka at the end. But in that context, Bhagavan says in verse 25, the verse begins with, among all Maharshis, great sages, I am Bhragu. Maharshinam Bhragu Raham. And Yajnanam Japa Yajna. Japa, you and I can do anywhere. Without even a Japa Mala, we can do. In Gita, repeating God's name or repeating a mantra such as Om Namah Shivaya which is called japa, has been called a yajna. For what is a yajna? There's some sacrifice. Yajna, yaga, homa, havana. There are slight differences between these, but yesterday we had Chandi, homa, and all of us saw offerings being made. Finally, there is a big offering, final offering called Purna. So, yajna is something, there is a fire lit and an offering made. Japa yajna. So, when we just sit quietly and do Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, what are we offering? Why is it called a yajna? We are offering our worldliness. Given the choice, given the freedom, we would thinking of pleasure and money and our becoming something, somebody praising us, hopefully the earlier the better. We are looking for gratification of many kinds. That is worldliness. Right? Wherever we go, we hope that somebody would come running to us and welcome us. Attention. We are all to a lesser or greater extent attention seekers. Somebody went to a party telling all his friends, I'm not going to seek any attention. Nobody greets me, it's okay. And he did indeed stay very quiet. And later on he asked his friends, did you notice how undemanding I was? I was so, you always criticized me for being an attention seeker. But I'm sure most of them noticed how detached I was. So it happens to us sadhus also. We give up everything. But in a corner of our heart, we hope that the world recognizes how much we have invested. To let go of a certain sense of, I am special, I am important, I have done things which others have not done. It's there in us. So if we do japa in a proper way, in a sincere way, in a beautiful way, suppose I give the example, Om Namah Shivaya. Suppose even for a minute among 10 minutes that you sat, you just thought of Shiva and not yourself. Whether you would shine or you would be unnoticed, you didn't bother. Shiva, you are so wonderful. Shiva, let me just think of it. Then the little self has been offered in the fire of that act, that jnana, that outlook. So Yajnanam Japayajnosmi, Stavaranam Himalaya, all of them are in this 25th sloka. In this 25th sloka, there is an expression, Iram Asmi Ekam Aksharam. Iram Asmi Ekam Aksharam. This is a tongue twister. I will not mention the name. There is someone who has recited this Bhagavad Geetā, and that tape, the olden days, CD, nowadays maybe online, is much appreciated. It is played at many places. But in this shloka, that person has chanted it. Iramasmaikam aksharam. It has been said. Iramasmaika. There is no I here. Iramasmekam aksharam. Yen sandhi, not vriddhi sandhi. Anyway, what is meant is Giram. Giram means of speech. Gihi girao gira. Gihi. So Girvani. Giraha is plural. Whatever we speak, that is Giraha. Of whatever we can utter, whatever we can say, the best thing that we may say, that we may utter, that we may pronounce is Arjuna, that monosyllable. Doesn't say Om, it doesn't say Pranava, but it's referring Om. Om is the best sound that you may utter. So, and sometimes you don't know how to respond to some situation, just say Om. You are walking by and some children come. You didn't expect, you are a bit embarrassed. Just say, oh, more. Or sometimes you suffer in some way. Pain, go to a doctor. Doctor says, is it paining you? Yes, doctor, it's paining you, it's paining you. And even as the doctor is thinking how to treat this, just say, while bearing pain, say, oh. While celebrating, say, oh. Or of all things that you could say, Om is the best. Of course, on a popular front, it has been simplified. Remember or recite the name of your Ishtadeva. You are a Rama Bhakta, say Rama, Rama, isn't it? But all that is a little simplified version of some of these pieces of advice, where we are asked to say, oh, Iram Asmi, Ekam Aksharam. And last but not the least, in the 17th chapter, we have Om coming with two other sacred words or sacred sounds. It is in 23rd verse of chapter 17 that Sri Krishna says, Arjuna, let me tell you, in the entire spiritual literature is the word we more often use in English. In Sanskrit, even literature is called Vangmaya. You know, one word for literature is Vangmaya. Though the more known word is Sahitya. Sahitya also means literature, prose, poetry, plays, all kinds of. But another word for literature is Vangmaya. Vak is speech. So Sri Krishna says, in all the Veda Vangmaya, so much of words, so much of, they all primarily are sounds. Speech is a sound primarily. Then secondarily they are written down. You and I read, these days we read even Veda mantras on the screen. It has become so convenient. You Google or you go to certain website and even Veda mantras are in a readable version. Then maybe you press a button, you can hear also. Sri Krishna says, of countless auspicious sacred sounds, sacred chants, sacred utterances, let me tell you, three stand out. Three are a cut above all. And what are those three? He says in 23 of chapter 17, Om Tat Sat. These are the Om Tat Saditi Nirdeshaha Brahmanaha Trividha Smritaha Brahmanastena Vedascha Yajnascha Vihita Pura. Sri Krishna on one hand is boisterous. I am God, I created this, he says at some places. But at other places, he is so humble. Pura, much before you and I are here on the field of Kurukshetra, ancient times, seers, rishis, my gurus, he also had a guru, Sandeepan. My teachers, they said this, Pura, Vihita, what is that? These are the most excellent pointers to the supreme truth, Brahman. Brahmanaha, Trividaha, three kinds, Nirdeshaha. Om Tat Saditi Nirdeshaha. Nirdesha here is pointing. Somewhere else Nirdeshana could guiding, directing. In South India, a director is called Nirdeshaka. When you go to North, they prefer the word Nideshaka. Both are same. Meaning is same. The preposition nir is replaced by preposition ni. Nideshak Mahoday. They say in North, go to Uttar Pradesh. They lived 10 years there. Everywhere, Videsha. Being a South Indian, I said, what happened here? But then I understood. There are some differences in Sanskrit words picked up and used in South, North, West. But here it's not about director directing, it's pointing. Also is similar. Om Tat Sat Nirdesha Brahmanas Trivida Snuta. Incidentally, it is in Chandogya Upanishad that Sat has been especially right. And in the Chandogya, in that very 6th chapter, Tat also has been highlighted. Tatvamasi appears 9 times in chapter 6 of Chandogya of Samaveda. And in the early portion over there, we have Father Uddalaka saying, Son, Tadeva Somya Idamugra Asi Sat. And later also in chapter 6, many places Sat has been highlighted. Om, of course, is at many places we have been seeing. So Om, Sat, Tat, and Sat. Each of them, all 3 of them, are excellent pointers. Over the centuries, over the thousands of years, Om has been really on top. Then comes Sat, and very rarely we use the word Tat. You come across anybody doing japa, Tat, Tat, Tat. You will be more mistaken. God won't mistake it. God will say, this guy is going by chapter 17, verse 13, verse 23. That also is name of God. But in modern times, they don't so much use that separately. It may be useful. If you have been looking for a new sadhana, you say, Swamiji, give us a new sadhana. I want to do something which nobody else does. I would say, okay, then repeat Tat. Somebody says, good morning, Tat. They will be embarrassed. Then clarify. See, 17th chapter. Tat is God's name. I blessed you by saying Tat. Of course, I showed with a uncomplimentary gesture. But you can say Tat with a pleasing gesture also. Good morning, someone said. Maybe. Even then they will be a little embarrassed. What is this Tat? But Om, Tat and Sat. But with special focus on Om, we note here that starting from the early 7th chapter to all the way 17th chapter, Lord Krishna makes reference to Om, and other places also it goes without being said. That Om is on top level in Veda Vangmaya, Adhyatma Vangmaya, where it's a matter of sound, nothing beats Om in its sacredness, in its holiness, in its ability to bless us with purity of mind, with greater effectiveness, and so on and so forth. We can use Om in our sadhana. When you feel tempted, when a diabetic is feeling tempted towards sweet, hand has gone very near that, I would advise him, say Om and put the hand. So in many withdrawals, you may say Om. And in many acts of goodness, some children are in new house of chocolates. All them. Take this. They also Om. Om. So we say Hari Om in so many conversations. Rather than hello, we begin telephone conversation. Hari Om, Hari Om, am I disturbing you? And sometimes we don't hear his answer. When if he says, especially in India, we have a custom. We make some kind of inquiries and don't listen to the answer at all. I myself did once a mistake. One Westerner had come to Varanasi, it's a cottage. So door was closed in England or America. Windows, the curtain was drawn. I had to ask her a question. Next day, trip to Sarnath. I went and no reply. And then I said, hello, am I disturbing you? Indians are told never to answer back in a little bad way, you know. But she is straight. Western culture promotes certain open, straightforward. I got embarrassed. My question was, am I disturbing you? Yes, you are. Having grown up here and I'm not used to that thing. But she's not at fault. She's not knocked at all. Everything was closed and she was meditating. She had come to the beautiful Krishnamurti not to sit. So they had kept work well planned. Then I quietly went back to my cottage. Later I met her at dinner time. Sorry, I came and disturbed your meditation, but wanted to ask you, you wanted to go to Sarnath. Tomorrow this other guest also is going. Would you like to go? Something like that. Anyway, so while doing good things, you may say, while any other thing, sometimes you have to punish some. Life is full of pleasant and but remembering God, old tradition is to say in hope. One notch below it is Shiva. Om Tat Sat. Hari.